everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. Please excuse the appearance, it's literally freezing. So as always, I've got my big snuggly jumper on. Anyway, in today's video, we're going to see if we can finish my 2025 TBR. This is coming from kind of various sources. There's a few books just in my head that I want to read by the end of the year. We've still got 2 books left from my official 25 books I want to read in 2025 TBR. We've got some books on the monthly TBR. Just various sources of books that I want to get to before the end of the year, and we're going to see how many of them we can do. So the first book we're going to read in this video is Cold Wire by Chloe Gong. I'm listening to this one on audio. I am also reading a book on Kindle that I'll talk about in a second. But Cold Wire is a dystopian, but I think it's more of a science fiction. And basically in this world we've got the upcountry and the downcountry. The upcountry is virtual. So your physical body is in this pod and you are living virtually so that you stay physically safe. You can't even get hurt basically at all in this virtual reality. There's a lot of AI, there's a lot of bots in this world. And the downcountry is the actual physical world. But from what I understand, the downcountry is basically where poor people live. So in order to be able to access this virtual version of the real world, I think you have to be quite rich or you have to have some kind of in. It seems like quite a lot of people can do it though, but I think, I don't know, this is one of my criticisms, is that I don't think the world is fully fleshed out, to be honest. This is the first book in a trilogy, so obviously to some extent there's going to be some unanswered questions and things, but that is one of my criticisms, is that I think I really want to know more about the downcountry. One of my biggest gripes in fantasy, dystopia, any kind of novel that's set in not our world, I really need to see the impact on the general population of whatever scheme or whatever is going on. I need to see the impact of that on real people. And I feel like that is missing here. I don't think I'm actually getting to see a representative, I don't know how to explain what I mean. I'm not getting to see people that represent each different part of society. It feels quite insular, and I'm not, they are moving around, the pace is very quick, they're constantly doing things. But I just wish we got to know more people outside of the people directly on the little missions. We've also got 2 points of view. They're doing different things. So it's quite complicated. There's also this academy where people go, and Leah is coming to the end of her time at the academy. She's doing her final assessment, which is basically a mission placement kind of thing. And our other main character has already graduated, but I think quite recently. She's still quite young. And I just feel like we're not getting to know any of the characters on a personal level. Everything to do with them that we know is relevant to the missions that they're doing. And I think in the first book, I'm always conscious to criticise the pace. I don't want to say that an author is doing too much, because I'd rather it be like this than it be boring. But I think we do need to get to know them a bit, because the way I see it, there seems to be some stakes to what they're doing, definitely. I don't fully understand the stakes because of what I said earlier, that I don't think we're getting to see the actual population and how what they're doing links to the wider world. But I don't really feel like there's many personal stakes. In theory there is, but I don't feel it. In Chloe Gong's other series, I think, yeah, you can actually see it there, These Violent Delights. All throughout that series, it felt like each individual character had a physical stake in what they were doing, which added just another layer of emotion to the book. Whereas in Cold Wire, I don't really feel anything. I'm not bored, but I'm not captivated. And I don't know, there's just something missing, and I think it is that personal connection, that personal element. I really cared about the characters in the These Violent Delights series. I don't particularly care about the characters in Cold Wire because I feel like I don't know them. Chloe Gong is clearly a very skilled writer. She's great at building a world. I think she's really good at weaving different ideas together, things from the real world, things that are fictional. I think she's a great writer, I really do. But I don't know, maybe she's trying to do too much in Cold Wire, because we've got all the AI stuff. Also, something I don't feel like we fully explored but exists is in the downcountry, there's a lot of environmental impacts, presumably from all the AI stuff. And we're also touching on different identities. So gender identity, sexuality has been very briefly kind of mentioned in one conversation. And then we're also touching on racial identity. One of the quite prominent leaders, and this is absolutely something I've seen in the real world, you're not enough of this, so you don't belong to this group, and you're too much of this, so you don't belong to this group. But again, I don't feel like we're really unpacking that and exploring it. And I think maybe Chloe Gong is trying to include too many different elements and trying to do too many things and not really fleshing any of them out and not making any of them feel personal to the characters. Does that make any sense? I don't know. I'm not having a bad time. Like, I really always want to pick it up and listen to it. Like, I am intrigued, but I'm not in love with it. Like, it's interesting, but I wouldn't say it's, like I said before, it's not captivating. It's not like, I don't know, I feel no personal connection to it at all, is basically what I'm trying to say. So that is the first book we're reading. I'll check back in now when I finish that one. I think I am like halfway through, so I'll check back in when I finish Coldwire. Other book we're reading that I'm reading on Kindle is from my 25 for 2025, and that is Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. Wrong season to be reading this in, but I actually am quite enjoying it. I actually put down a Christmas book that I'm reading for another video in order to read this one because I just needed something different. I've been reading a lot of fantasy, not a lot of Christmas romances. I've been trying to read Christmas romances, and I actually just needed something different, and I am really enjoying this one. I loved Part of Your World and Yours Truly. I actually gave Yours Truly 5 stars. This could be heading in the same direction. I'm not obsessed with the romance in this one. There's nothing specifically that I don't like about it. Basically, actually, let me tell you the premise. We've got our main character, whose name I've obviously forgotten because I'd forget my own name if it wasn't my own name. She is a travel nurse, and she moves around to different states. Like, usually she doesn't stay in any place longer than like 3 months. And she does that with her best friend / foster sister, Maddie. How do I remember the best friend's name of the main character? Anyway, they do that. And then we've got our MMC, Justin, who lives in Minnesota. Both our FMC and... she's called Emma. That's it. That's the name, Emma. Both Emma and Justin have this like curse thing where everyone that they date, as soon as they break up with them, they find their soulmate. The next person they meet is their soulmate. So Emma and Justin are left without their soulmates because everyone that they date finds their soulmate straight after. So they kind of, Justin posts this on Reddit, Emma sees it, they start chatting on Reddit, and they agree to date each other for a month to try and break the curse. The theory is that when they break up, they will both then go and meet their soulmates. So yeah, that's the basic premise of the book. I won't say anything more because I don't want to spoil anything, but I am enjoying the romance. I don't think it's the most groundbreaking romance in the world. What I love about Abby Jimenez books is that there's always something else as well to kind of focus on. So in this book, the FMC has a very difficult relationship with her mother. She was neglected as a child. In Yours Truly, there was a lot of anxiety panic attacks. And in Part of Your World, the FMC had an absolutely horrific piece of shit ex-husband, or were they still married? I can never remember if they were divorced. They were separated. And that had a lot of impacts on kind of her and her, I was going to say her attitude, but that makes it sound negative. Her beliefs and the way that she kind of operated when it came to relationships. So there's always something else in an Abby Jimenez book, at least in this series, to kind of root for, even if the romance isn't the best thing since sliced bread. It's not a bad romance. As I said, there's nothing I don't like about it. It's just not absolutely blowing me away yet. I do really like both our main characters. Justin is a very golden retriever, which is nice and refreshing. So yeah, I am having a good time with both of these books at the moment. I'll probably just check back in when I've finished either one of them now. And then there's a couple of books that I've recently put down that I really want to read by the end of the year. So I think after we've read these 2 books, we'll pick one of those back up and see if I'm on a hard DNF or if we can finish some of them. I'm now on chapter 35 of Coldwire, and I feel nothing. I feel like this book feels more kind of focused on the aesthetics of, I wouldn't even call this dystopia. It doesn't feel dystopian to me. It just feels like a sci-fi, which is fine. But I feel like it's really being marketed as being dystopian, and it definitely has dystopian elements, don't get me wrong. But I don't think we're focusing on the dystopian elements. I mentioned earlier that to know more about like the down country and the effects it has on the civilians. We're still not getting that. I still don't feel like I'm actually seeing the realities of this world on anyone but like 3 people, to be honest. I don't feel like we've delved into anything very deeply, and it feels like we're focusing more on aesthetics rather than actual depth and emotion. So I'll come back when I've finished and let you know if my thoughts change, but I mean, honestly, at this point, I doubt it. I'm getting quite near the end of the book now, and I still feel the same. I was going to go out on a walk and listen to the ending of Coldwire, but it's just started raining. So I'm going to walk on my walking pad and listen to the end of Coldwire instead. this second finished Cold Wire. All previous thoughts stand. Don't really have anything to add. I think I'm going to give it like a 3-star. Objectively, I don't think this was a bad book at all. If you are a reader that prefers a plot-driven story, you might really enjoy this. There was definitely plot, I'll give it that. It was, I found, very twisty and turny, especially towards the end. Obviously, I'm not going to say anything specific that happens, but I'm just a character kind of gal. I just really need to be invested and connected to my characters in order to really care. So even though objectively a lot happened in this, I just didn't really care what was happening to them. I just did not care, unfortunately. So yeah, 3-star read, not bad. Glad I read it because I was intrigued by it, but ultimately probably not one that I'm going to really think about or remember. Something I am going to think about and remember is Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. I am loving this. It's giving 5-star vibes. I'm around 50% through. Guys, I'm loving it. I'm really, really loving it. The romance is so cute. Justin is such a golden retriever, but with depth. And he's not annoying. Not that actual golden retrievers are annoying, but sometimes I think golden retriever men in books can be written too over the top. I don't think that's the case here. He is so, so sweet. They say in the book that he is like the human embodiment of if he wanted to, he would. And that is so true. Like, if he wanted to, he would. And Justin just does that over and over and over and over again. And it's adorable. And I'm loving it. And even though it's definitely a summer book, it's not like One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune levels. Like, I'm reading it at this time of year and it's literally fine. It's not like overly summery. I loved One Golden Summer, by the way. I read that in the summer. But what I mean is reading this in December, I don't think he's taken away from the book at all. It's not like, yeah, it's not too summery to the point where I'm like, this doesn't really fit. I think this is a book you could read at any time of the year and not feel like it's out of season. I read books whenever anyway, just when I'm in the mood for them, but I was a bit concerned reading this literally 2 weeks before Christmas that I might feel that it was a bit like maybe I wouldn't love it as much because it's not summer, but that's not the case. I'm literally obsessed and it's giving 5 stars. I'll let you know if that changes or if I have any other thoughts, but it's really getting me through. I'm just sat reading Just for the Summer and this book is hurting my feelings. It's still giving 5-star vibes, but I could literally cry. Like, why is it setting out to upset me? I actually can't. If he wanted to, he would. If this man makes me cry one more time, I'm suing for emotional damages. Please excuse the fact that I'm sat in the car and there is literally nowhere to prop my phone, so I'm just having to hold it. But I wanted to give you reading updates before I do any more reading and not tell you about it. This afternoon, just after work, I finished Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. 4.75 stars. I will assume that you've seen the crying clips of me just bawling over this book. The only reason it wasn't a 5-star, and it's completely a personal thing, is because of the vomit scenes. It really like dragged me completely out of the book personally, but that's a me problem. It just, I don't know, it did just take away from the 5-star feel of the book because I feel like it was intense and it went on for a bit too long. I'm all for a caretaking scene in a book, but it did just go on a little bit too long for me. Like, I don't think we needed to drag it out quite that much. I didn't mind like how long she was ill for. I just feel like we went into a bit too much detail with the vomiting thing, and I don't know, it was just a little bit much for me, but it was still a 4.75. I absolutely adored it. I am now reading Twisted by Emily McIntyre. I started this book a couple of weeks ago and softy and effed it around 8% because I just wasn't in the mood, and I've decided it's going to be the next book that we pick back up because it is on my TBR to finish by the end of the year. So I thought this is a good time. I've had a couple of good reads. I'm in a good mood whilst reading. I thought it was a good time to pick it back up. I am now, how far am I in? Not much. I'm on page 24 of the book, so I've probably only read like 5 pages since I softy and effed it. It's fine. These books are very quick and easy to read. If you don't know, these are like, they're not reimaginings, but they are basically like Disney stories flipped on the head. So in these books we follow the villain rather than following like the classic Disney hero princess kind of vibe. This one is an Aladdin retelling. I don't know a massive amount about Aladdin myself, so I need to look into that a little bit more. I watched Aladdin as a kid, but I mean, I haven't really rewatched it as an adult, so I don't really know like which characters these characters are based on or anything. I don't think it's the actual character of Aladdin, obviously. Either of our characters are going to be based on, but I need to look into that a little bit more. Yeah, basically these are like villain gets the girl kind of books. Not like the darkest romance ever. For me, it's dark because I don't read dark romance, but I think on the general scale, it's like really not that dark at all. So yeah, that is the next book that we are going to read. I've put Twisted down again. I'm not saying I'm like completely giving up and not reading it. Oh my God, I look vile. Okay, whatever. I'm not saying I'm giving up. I'm just saying I'm still not fully in the mood for it. I've decided to DNF Twisted. I'm just not having a good time. I was really trying to suspend my disbelief and read this book. I really enjoyed the second one, Scarred, which was a twist on The Lion King. That's the only one in the series I've liked though, and I'm on book 4. And I'm just starting to think maybe that was a fluke and this series just perhaps is not for me because I've just not had a good time. Honestly, at any point in this book. I'm just over 20% in and I think it's just time to put it down. What really sealed the deal for me, have I even explained the premise? I don't really know even what I can say without spoiling anything, but our FMC Yasmin, I assume it's supposed to be Jasmine from Aladdin. Her dad is very ill, he's dying, like imminently dying. And he wants her to get married before he dies so that she can inherit the family company and be looked after because he doesn't trust her to just inherit the company and do it herself because he's a misogynist. And she has a boyfriend, but no one knows she has a boyfriend because she's not allowed to have this boyfriend because he's not like from the right kind of family. So there's that. And then there's this older MMC. Is his name Justin? Guys, I can't even remember. I'm just going to call him Justin and hope that that's his name. It might not. Julian. We'll go with Justin. I don't even know his name. We've got him. He's awful. He's planning to marry her and then just kill her so that he can have the company. Which, if you like dark romance, is fine. Like, I've read a few dark romances and enjoyed them. But what was the real kicker for me in this one is that she's been a bit obsessed with him. You can't tell as an adult, but there's this flashback scene where she's been like obsessed with him since she was younger, like 15-ish. I don't think it was reciprocated. There's been nothing to suggest that. I'm not saying that he's a creep. He's just a serial killer, no biggie. But I don't think he's a creep with children, at least. But I don't like that power dynamic because he actually says at one point that he can't wait to force her to marry him. And I just know it's going to bother me, the fact that she's always had this, like, even though she doesn't act like it now as an adult, that she's always had this bit of a fascination with him. In the flashback scene, she talks very sexually, even though she's only 15-ish in the flashback scene. That made me uncomfortable. I just think this series perhaps isn't for me, and the only reason I'm reading it is because it's on my physical TBR, because I bought them as a box set after I really enjoyed the second book and thought I would enjoy the rest of the series, and I haven't. So I think I'm just going to DNF and unhaul. If I ever feel the need to read these, they're on Kindle Unlimited, so I can read them and support the author without buying the books again. But it's just, I just don't think it's for me. I think it was maybe a fluke that I really enjoyed Scarred, to be honest. I've started listening to The Compound because I've got my book beat hours to use this month. This is basically like, I think it's a bit of a sci-fi. It's basically Love Island, but a bit more sinister. So we've got this house, like a Love Island villa, and the girls wake up and are in said villa. And then the boys arrive like a couple of days later, have to do these tasks. So I don't want to tell you too much about the plot, but there's a series of tasks either they have to do individually or as a group. And one of the tasks in particular so far has been like, this is a bit sinister. Like, I can see where this is going to get like a bit dark, maybe. I don't think it's like a super dark book, but I think it's definitely got, it's not just like a Love Island rom-com. It's like, it's more about, I don't know, it's not really about the romances at this point. Like, they are forming connections, that's kind of the point. And they are on a TV show, forgot to mention that. This is a TV show that these people are doing. But it's very immersive, like reality TV. They're not acting or anything. And I don't know, it's definitely got a sinister undertone and I'm really, really enjoying it. I'm not sure how far in I am because, as I said, I'm listening to it, but I'm really, really enjoying it. I wasn't sure if I was going to like it. It's got very mixed reviews. I feel like everyone I've seen has either given it 5 stars or like 2. So I really wasn't sure how I was going to feel. Still don't know how I'm going to feel as it starts to get a bit darker, but as of right now, I'm really enjoying this book. I've just got home from work. I'm now 89% through The Compound. I was listening to it on my way home, and I'm so conflicted. So up until like the 70% mark, I was loving this book. It wasn't giving like 5-star vibes. I'll talk about why in a sec. But I was really enjoying it. I was looking forward to reading it. Couldn't wait to pick it up. Was so intrigued by the plot. The reason it wasn't ever going to be a 5-star is because this, in my opinion, isn't a character-driven book, but it is. So the plot is not repetitive in a negative way, but you are just kind of watching these people live in this compound. And you can't really get invested in them so much as characters because none of them are great people. A couple of them are fine, but they're kind of side characters that you don't really get given the opportunity to get invested in. Our main character, she's not a great gal. She's not like an awful human being, but she's just not someone that you might get like super invested in and like really kind of get behind. So I was enjoying the plot. That was fine. However, I feel like after the 70% mark, it really quickly took a turn, and I was expecting this book to take a turn. Obviously, I'm going to purposely be vague here because I don't want to spoil anything. I was definitely expecting this book to have sinister elements. I mentioned right at the beginning that I could kind of feel a sinister undertone, but I just feel like that happened quite quickly. And the character of Tom in particular, how that is being dealt with is bothering me. I am going to finish the book, obviously. I'm really intrigued to see how it ends, and I think the ending will either make this like a 4-star or a 2, depending on how everything with Tom, again, being vague on purpose, depending on how everything with Tom is dealt with. But we will see. So that's the update. Please ignore the spot on my head. I've picked it, it's bleeding, it won't stop bleeding. There's nothing I can do to rectify this situation. We're just going to have to try and ignore the bleeding spots on my head. So I finished The Compound. I finished it yesterday and I've settled on a 3-star. The first 50% of this book, the first so the first 50% of the book was like 4.5 stars. Then 50 to 70% was like still a 4-star vibe. And then it went downhill after 70%. I knew the book was going to take a sinister turn. That much was clear to me. And I was looking forward to that. I think the book would have been boring if it hadn't. But it kind of came a little bit out of nowhere. We didn't have as many kind of leading moments as I thought we would to build up to what ended up happening near the end. I also really wish we got to know more about what was going on outside of the compound. So we got like little tiny tidbits to say it was like, I don't know, a war or something that was going on, but we really didn't get to know much. And I think in part that was intentional because the compound, the whole TV show, the whole experience is supposed to be extremely immersive. You don't know what's going on outside. I think potentially the author made a conscious choice to not tell us about any of that, to kind of mimic the experience of the contestants. However, I'm not a contestant, I'm a reader. So I really would have liked to see just a couple of chapters maybe from like a viewer's perspective. To understand how the viewers felt about the people on the show. That to me is quite important because there are some awful people, one in particular, awful person, and I don't think they got their comeuppance, and I really would have loved to see from a viewer's perspective how they felt and kind of how that situation panned out with that person. I also would have liked to see, along that same vein, an epilogue to see where they went after the show, what happened. Like, I don't know, I'm really intrigued to know what these people did. Who was still together? What did they go back to the normal jobs? Are they mentally okay? Would have loved to have seen that. And also to go back to the dystopian thing. I think it was really hard to understand our main character's motivation to stay in the compound when we didn't know. Like, she just kept saying, oh yeah, my job's boring and I don't want to go back to my normal life. But really horrible stuff started happening in the compound and she was still choosing to stay. And I was like, I don't really get why. Like, war and other things that are going on. I need to know more about that. And more about your life and how those things affect you to understand why you are choosing to stay in this shithole. I don't get it. Don't understand. So yeah, I just feel like the book ultimately, the ending was a bit unsatisfying for me. And it just lacked a little bit of depth that I would have hoped we would have got more towards the end. But I still enjoyed it. It was a good read. I was on the edge of my seat. I really cared about the plot. Not particularly about the characters because most of them weren't great. But I enjoyed the reading experience. I just wish the ending would have been a little bit different. I started at the first Zodiac Academy book. So this was on my 2025 TBR, my 25 books to read in 2025. I put Zodiac Academy on there because of the hype that it got like last year and this year. And I'm quite enjoying it. It's definitely not my usual taste. And there's definitely like the word bae was in there, which I thought was an interesting linguistic choice. But I am really intrigued by the plot, guys. I can't lie. Is it perfect? No. Am I obsessed with it? No. But do I kind of want to do nothing else other than sit down and read it? Yeah. So I'll give you a bit more of an update. I think I'm about 20% into Zodiac Academy. So I'll maybe give you like a halfway check-in unless I have thoughts before that. I'm now 54% through Zodiac Academy. And why am I like... Okay, I'm not obsessed. Why am I a little bit obsessed? I'm not obsessed. Most of the characters, again, are awful. And I am very intrigued to see what the character arcs are going to be, particularly for the two love interests who, at this moment in time, are literally rancid human beings. Some of the stuff that is happening is irredeemable. And I worry that as the series goes on, if those things try to be redeemed, I will not love the series. But for right now, I'm very intrigued. I'm more so intrigued by the world than the characters. I like the twins. I like our two main characters, Tori and Darcy. But I'm mainly intrigued about the world because it seems so vast. Like, there's so many different types of creatures in this world. The school, like, on one hand sounds really cool. On the other hand, would not pass an Ofsted inspection. These teachers should not be qualified as members of staff. They are awful. But in general, the whole kind of school setting in this book is very, very intriguing. So am I loving it? No. Do I have a lot of reservations? Yes. About the characters and their actions, 100%. I'm very interested to see like what the author does with that, and again, like, how are we going to redeem these people and become people that we want to be like invested in? I really don't know how that is achievable at this moment in time, but I am so intrigued by the world that I'm not putting those things to one side. I'm definitely thinking about my issues, but I'm just trying to sit with them and just take the book for what it is for now and see how it develops. So yeah, I'm having a really good time reading Zodiac Academy. I'll probably just pop back in now when I'm done because I'm like nearly 60% through, I think. So I'll probably finish it either today or tomorrow. And I will let you know when I do so and let you know what my final rating is. I honestly have no idea. I have absolutely no idea how this is going to go. It could end up being a 1-star. It could end up being like a 4.5. I literally have no idea. I am now 87% through Zodiac Academy. And it's gone a bit downhill. So it was giving like 4-star vibes. Maybe even 4.5 because I could not put this book down. I was so intrigued by the world. As I said before, it definitely has its issues. However, the issues aren't going away. And I really hoped that by this point in the book, we'd be past the whole bullying thing. I'm not saying I want everyone to be, you know, running around the maypole best friends. But I thought we would have made more progress on that front. But no. The heirs and the teachers, one of them's literally like a paedophile, just keep getting worse and worse and worse. Some of them aren't getting worse, they're just also not getting better. And I think my intrigue of the world can only go so far to keep me wanting to read this series. I don't know yet if I'll read the second book. I'll decide that when I finish this one. But honestly, right now I'm sitting between like a 2 and a 3-star, which I'm really surprised at. I still want to pick the book up. I'm going to try and finish it today. I still really want to know what happens. We're not even really learning that much now about the different orders and different parts of the world. We're just seeing Tori and Darcy get bullied over and over and over again. Like, if I was them, I would have ended it all. I'd have either gone back to the mortal world or just... I don't know how they're dealing with this, seriously. It's like painful to read, but not in like a really emotional tearjerker kind of way. It's just annoying at this point that the authors have kept this going for a whole book. And I get that this is like an 8 or 12 book series, I think, depending on how many of them you read. But come on, like, really, we should be doing something more interesting than them still just getting bullied by the same people at this point in the book. And I feel like the bullying has also got more irrelevant. Like, now the mean girls have joined in, and all the bullying at this point is about boys. And Tori and Darcy can't stop thinking about how attractive all of the heirs are. And I think these people are literally dangling you off a cliff. Why are you thinking about how good looking they are? Like, please. I don't know. I do like Tori and Darcy. I prefer Tori, but I do like them both. Love Sophia. I'm not sure about the representation of Diego, to be honest, guys. I feel like it was a bit of a tokenism thing to put in a character who's not, like, white American and just make him very stereotypical. I need to read some reviews because obviously I'm just white British. Like, my opinion isn't the one that matters here. I really want to read some reviews and see what other people think about the representation of Diego, but it's not quite sitting right with me. I mean, I don't even know exactly what his heritage is. I can't remember if we've been told that. If people of like a same or similar heritage to him think it's good representation, I'll take that at face value and run with it. but I'm just cautious that I don't necessarily think that it is. I'm gonna finish it. Even if I end up giving it 2 stars, it's been an enjoyable read on some level, but I fear that, I don't know, I fear that I'm not gonna love this as much as I thought I would, which, like, before I started it I thought I would hate it, but it was already on my TBR, so I thought I'll read it anyway. And then I started reading it, I was like, oh, this is actually quite good. But now I'm back to like, maybe I hate this and it's not for me. But I will let you know. I'll probably pop back in tomorrow if I finish it tonight and let you know my final thoughts. I have literally no idea what they're going to be. I finished Zodiac Academy and wow, that was certainly something. 2 stars. I honestly thought earlier on in this reading journey that it would be more than 2 stars. I was really enjoying it. But I feel like the amount of issues in this book just compounded and just continue to grow. Like, obviously we had the love interests that are vile, just horrible. Particularly, well, both of them, they're both awful. And then we've got all the other heirs who are bullies. And then we've got the mean girls. And then we've got Professor Washer, who should be in a high, very high security prison. Locked in a cell, please. Why is he in a school? And then we've got Professor Pyro, who is the Professor of Fire. And all the professors have similarly corny names related to their area of expertise. And like 1 or 2 of those things in a book, you can see as like a barrier to overcome, right? But come on. Come on. We can't be doing all of this in a book. Which also, have these authors ever heard of a comma? Or a full stop? I tried to read some of the sentences in this book out loud and genuinely got out of breath because of the lack of grammar and punctuation in this book. I'm not yucking anyone's yum. It was very, very entertaining, very addictive, very quick and easy to read. I can absolutely see why people get invested in this series 100%. But there's so many books out there that I want to read that I'm honestly, I think, just going to Google what happens in this series and spoil myself and not read it. Some people might hate on me for that, but I don't want to dedicate the time to read these books because I know I won't actually enjoy the reading experience. But I'm kind of curious as to how on earth this is going to pan out into anything positive and how these 2 girls are actually supposed to fall in love with these creep-ass men. Yeah, I'm intrigued as to how you can make that happen. But yeah, that's that done. 2 stars. Hello everyone. I don't know if the audio is going to be different because I'm back on my camera for this clip instead of filming on my phone. However, I am now reading The Ragpicker King by Cassandra Clare. I'm going to have to get used to looking at the lens and not at the screen because I've been filming on my phone for months. Anyway, I'm reading The Ragpicker King by Cassandra Clare. This is the 2nd book in the Swords of Castellane. Is that what it's called? Something of Castellane series anyway. Chronicles of Castellane? I have no idea. That series. I gave the first book 3 stars. I think objectively these books are good. I just don't care though about them. I think Cassandra Clare can really write a book, that much is clear. She's written many of them. But what she struggles to do for me is make me care about her characters with enough depth that I actually want to continue a series. I've DNF'd the Shadowhunters universe. I read the first 3 Mortal Instruments books and the whole Infernal Devices trilogy and DNF'd the 3rd book in Infernal Devices. I know that is an unpopular opinion. These books are very different. They're not set in the Shadowhunters universe at all. They are completely separate from the Shadowhunters universe. This is like a kingdom kind of fantasy, which is right on my street. We've got our prince called Connor and we've got an orphan called Kel. And in the first book, Kel is basically, through a whole process, Kel becomes Connor's like body double. His official title is Swordcatcher. It basically means that whenever Connor has to do a public appearance where there could be a threat to his life, Kel stands in. And they are raised basically as brothers. They are very, very close growing up. They are best friends. And the first book didn't do enough for me. I don't think enough happened for the length of the book. It felt like we spent a lot of time just sat around chit-chatting. But like, not even good chit-chatting. Not chit-chatting that made me invested in the characters. I just found the first book a bit boring. The beginning of it was so good. And then the more I read, the worse it got because I got bored. However, I still decided to give the second book a go because I think the world really has potential. I just need it to ramp up a bit. But guys, it's not ramping up a bit. At the beginning of this book, we're still talking about the same stuff that we spoke about over and over and over again in the first book. I don't know how far in I am. Not very. I am going to keep listening a little bit this morning before I start work. But guys, I don't know if this is looking good. I may end up DNFing this, I can't lie. I hope I don't. But like, this is an over a 20-hour audiobook. Do I want to spend, I'm listening to it on like 2 times speed, so do I want to spend 10 actual hours of my life listening to a book that I'm not invested in? But I hope I get invested. Like, I want to get invested. I want to love this. But right now I'm just not. But I am going to keep listening. We are, I feel, going to have some DNFs in this video, which makes sense because these are the books that I've left from various TBRs that I haven't read earlier in the year. So for the most part, not for every book in this video, obviously we've had some gems, but for the most part, a lot of these are books that I've been putting off for a reason. So it kind of tracks that I'm not going to enjoy every book in this video. But yeah, I'm going to carry on with the Rag Picker King and hope that it gets a bit more interesting. But everyone else has given this 5 stars, so literally, even if I don't like it, even if I DNF it, ignore me and just read it anyway. I can't do this anymore. I'm DNFing the Rag Picker King. I'm about 30, just over 30% through. I'm 7 hours in and there's 14 hours left. So by my calculations, I'm around 30% through. Nothing has happened. No one's doing anything. Everyone's just sat around talking about the same shit that we sat around and talked about in book 1. I can't do it anymore. As I said, some people have given this great reviews. If this book sounds interesting to you, go for it. I don't think this is an awful series by any means. I think for me, I just need a bit more of a combination in my fantasy. I don't mind slower moments. I don't need something that's constantly go, go, go. But this is the vast opposite of go, go, go. We're not doing anything. So I'm just going to DNF. I'm not going to put myself through another 14 hours of this. There is no point because I'm not having a good time. So DNF. I've picked Happily Ever After. That's not what the book's called. Holiday Ever After. That. I've picked it back up. It's still boring. I think I'm going to finish it. It's not like offensive. It's not bad. It's just, is it good? Is it entertaining me? Not really. It's just fine. I feel like the Icebreaker series just had so much personality to it. Like, the characters felt so rich and just funny, and you could feel the relationships growing and blossoming, and the found family and the friendships. Gorgeous. This book, go give us nothing. But it's fine. It's kind of getting me in the Christmas spirit a little bit, so I'm going to keep listening to this today while I'm doing bits and bobs around the house. I'm also reading it on Kindle. I'm swapping in between because I've got some audio book hours left on Spotify, so I thought whilst I'm tidying the house on my lunch break, I might as well just listen to some of it. And I'll probably end up reading most of it on Kindle, but yeah. Wish me luck, because the books in this video so far, for the most part, aren't going that well. I've just finished Holiday Ever After whilst I have been sat doing my reading journal, and it was fine. All my previous thoughts basically stand. Like, it was just okay. It was cute enough, but not really. I didn't really feel any chemistry between the characters, to be honest. It was just fine. It's probably not a book that I'm ever going to think of ever again. I think I'll just give it like 3 stars. There was nothing massively bad about it, but there was also nothing great about it. Excuse the appearance, I'm in the trenches right now. But the next book that I am going to read for this video, Nora Goes Off Script. I'm currently on chapter 6 and I am bored out of my The premise of this sounds interesting. So Nora is a single woman in, I think, like her mid to late 30s. She's got 2 children. She was married, her husband left her, but she's basically been single-handedly raising the kids, running the house, earning all the money for years anyway. So it's not like even that much different now that he's gone, because he was never really doing very much to help. She is a screenplay writer. She usually writes like kind of the equivalent of like a Hallmark romance film, like easy breezy romance films that go on the Romance Channel. But she wrote something a bit different this time. She actually wrote a screenplay of her own life with Ben and the whole situation with their marriage. It got picked up, it's been made into a film, and for part of the film they are filming at her house. And then the man who is playing the lead man in the film, Leo, is at her house and he's a man-child. She actually says at one point, I've already got 2 kids, I don't need another one. And then he just like stays in her house around her kids, and she doesn't like clock that like she leaves her daughter alone with this man when she doesn't know him, and he's just living in their house. It's very odd. It's very, very odd. And the writing is very dry. I think you could get away with this kind of silly story if the writing was like Ali Hazelwood style. Ali Hazelwood is one of my favourite authors. I find her writing very funny, tongue-in-cheek. I think that's the kind of writing you would have to go for in this story, but it's not. The writing in here is very dry and like it's trying to be serious, but that doesn't mesh because the plot is so unserious that I'm struggling to kind of reconcile the two things in my mind. So I'm not having the best time, to be honest. What page am I on? I don't even know. Page numbers, anyone? Hello? I hate it when there's not a page number on every page. Like, that's just really unhelpful to me. I'm on page 69 and I'm bored. But it's fine. Like, it's easy enough to read. It's just so dry and, like, where's anyone's personality? I don't really know. Anyway, I'm switching between listening to it on audio whilst I try and drag myself off this sofa to do jobs. I'm on chapter 15, page 157 of Nora Goes Off Script, and I'm gonna do it. Yet another book in this video. I can't do it. The Insta love is ridiculous. I don't understand how we're supposed to believe that Nora is this like sensible, level-headed, got it together woman, yet she is acting like a lovesick 13-year-old, like a toxic lovesick 13-year-old over a man that she's known for 3 weeks. Now, am I saying that Leo isn't in the wrong? Of course not. Of course he's in the wrong. He's also acting like a child. But I'm just confused because Nora really hasn't said anything very nice about him for most of this book. She was saying that he's childlike, she doesn't want to act like she's got another child, blah, 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 blah. And he's now acting like a child and we're surprised. Again, I'm not victim blaming, I'm not saying it's her fault, but I think it's a stupid premise for a book. Like, as a reader, obviously this was coming. Like, he's been characterised as nothing but a dependent child. Why? I just don't understand. And I just know what's coming. The love confessions came when they'd known each other for about a week. We don't actually see them fall in love, which is my gripe, my main gripe of this book. Is that it's just, we did this and then this happened and then we did this and then that happened and then they said that and then I said that. You don't actually see very much happen. It's just Nora telling us everything that happened rather than us actually getting to live through the scenes and actually see them fall in love. So now that she's acting like she's gone completely out of her mind over this man, I don't understand why. Because I'm not seeing them fall in love. I can't feel anything. There's no chemistry between them because we don't actually see anything happen in this book. It's the epitome of tell not show. And I don't have time for this. I just don't have time for it. There's so many books in the world that I want to read. This simply isn't one of them. So yeah, another DNF for this video. I'm so sorry, but I'm just not going to do this to myself. I've also started The Play, I think, by Elle Kennedy, the third Briar book. Is that what it's called? This spot on my head is really distracting me. Anyway, I've started that. Not loving it because it's Hunter's book and probably an unpopular opinion. I really don't like Hunter. If you don't know, Briar is a hockey romance series by Elle Kennedy. It comes after the off-campus series by her, following like the next, not like the next gen, it's not their kids, following the people that kind of are on the hockey team after like Garrett, Graham and Dean and everyone. And I'm not obsessed with it so far, but I'm going to keep going. I finished The Play by Elle Kennedy and I'm not even going to go upstairs and get the physical copy. I rated it 0.25 stars. That was the most offensive sack of shit I've ever read in my life. It's like Elle Kennedy wrote a list of people that she hadn't already previously offended. And she's offended many, many different groups of people by this point. It's like she wrote a list of who was left and just whacked it all in one book. The representation of Latino people in this was horrific. The representation of mental health, horrific. The representation of suicide, horrific. The relationship, boring. She absolutely butchered so many of her characters. Why did Brenna, Summer and Dean forget what loyalty was in this book? I'm not saying they like full on cheated on their partners, but the lines were crossed with so many previous characters in this book. It's like Elle Kennedy was forced to write this series at gunpoint and she's purposely making it bad because there's no excuse for this. It was awful. I was going to DNF so many times. I only finished this out of sheer disbelief and because I wholeheartedly believe that it deserves the 1 star on Goodreads, and I don't rate DNFs ever. Even if I get 95% into a book and DNF, I wouldn't rate it because I haven't read it all. I wanted to finish this, honestly, just so I could rate it 1 star on Goodreads because I think that's truly what it deserves. So there's that. I have started and subsequently DNF'd Dear John by Nicholas Sparks. This was on my physical TBR. It's the only reason I even tried it. I read and really didn't like The Notebook earlier on this year. I just don't like his writing. I really, really don't. I'm not even going to talk about what this is about because I feel like everyone knows. But I just can't connect to the characters because the writing is so dry. Like, I need to come up with a synonym for dry because I just keep saying that everyone's writing's dry. But it's just so boring and so lifeless. I just don't like the way, personally, that Nicholas Sparks writes. I said this when I read The Notebook, that his books to me feel like an outline pitch for a film rather than a standalone piece of work. And that's just not for me. I like a bit of humour, a bit of personality, just a bit of anything, something. Give me any sign of a pulse at this point. So unfortunately, I'm DNFing this. What chapter was I even on? I don't know. I was around 20% in, and I have decided to DNF. On to the next. The last book we are going to read for this video is Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross. And I am now 34% through. I'm doing a combination of listening to it on audio and reading it physically. For context, Divine Rivals is God tier. I adore that duology, one of the best I have ever read. I think in that duology, Rebecca Ross struck the perfect balance between beautiful prose and plot and character building and actually getting to know the characters. However, unfortunately, in Wild Reverence, I feel as if the beautiful prose, which is stunning, like her writing is absolutely gorgeous, but I feel as if it's keeping us at an arm's length and at a distance from our characters. I don't feel like I know them. I don't feel like the characters have much personality, and therefore it's making it really difficult for me to care what's going on. The plot also isn't massively compelling, which is fine, but I kind of need one or the other. I either need characters that I love and adore, or I'm gonna need a plot. And there is a plot, but it's not a very cohesive plot. We're just kind of bopping about. I have the same criticism about Brimstone. Very different fantasy books, different authors, but the same criticism, that I feel as if we're just bopping about doing random little things that aren't really adding up to anything. There's no tension. It doesn't feel like we're building up to anything. I am holding out hope. I am trying to trust the process because I love Rebecca Ross. I think she's a fantastic writer. And as I said, Divine Rivals was absolute God tier. So I am trying really hard to reserve judgment. But it is hard because I am now nearly 35% in and I'm still waiting for it to get good. Like I don't know. I'm just not obsessed. As I said, I don't feel any connection to the characters because I don't feel like we've gotten to know them. I feel like in Divine Rivals we had the perfect balance of emotion, but also a bit of snark and a bit of humour between the characters. I think the whole rivals thing, even though it didn't play a massive part in the duology as a whole, I think it really added just a way of us getting to know the characters and their personalities. And I feel like we're not getting that in Wild Reverence. I don't feel like I know them. And therefore, I don't really care. But obviously I am going to carry on. I'm holding out hope that it's going to get better, especially because it's the last book for this video and it is probably my most anticipated read of the year. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that I am going to love it, because I don't know what I'm going to do if I don't. Sorry for my appearance, I've just got up and I'm going to have to speak quietly because my boyfriend is still in bed, but I need to edit and get this video up. We did it. We finished Wild Reverence and therefore finished all of the books I wanted to read this year. There are still 2 left, but I think I'm going to DNF them both. I'm not going to put another 2 DNFs in this video. I'm not going to do that to you. But yeah, I finished Wild Reverence and I gave it a 3-star, or like a 3.25. I just didn't love this. And I feel awful that I didn't love this. I thought this was going to be like 6-star God tier, and it isn't. The writing was beautiful, but that was about it. I didn't find the plot very compelling. I didn't find there was any tension or stakes, really. One of my least favourite tropes, I won't say what it is because it would be a spoiler, but one of my least favourite fantasy tropes is in this book, and it just kind of killed the plot. And then in terms of the characters, I really liked Vincent and Bade. I feel like we actually got to know them more than we got to know our FMC. Madeline, is that a name? Is Madeline a name? I don't even know her name because I care about her that little. She was fine. But I feel like the whole goddess thing meant that we were kept at such a distance from her. I don't know how to explain it. I feel like we never got to know her as a person because she was a goddess, but like she's still a character in a book. We still need to get to know her and get an insight into her emotions and her motivations, and I just don't feel like we got that. So because the plot was weak, and I didn't understand the FMC's motivations for a lot of things. Not that she did bad things, she was doing good things, but like I still need to know the motivations for what you're doing to get behind you and root for you. I didn't. So with the weak plot and the weak characterisation, this just didn't compel me. As I said, the writing was gorgeous, but you can't get by on good writing alone. We also need like plot or characters or something, just something to latch onto. But anyway guys, that brings us to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. I know it was a long one and it was a bit chaotic and had a lot of books in it. Thank you so much if you got to this point. Do give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.